Well, after doing a whole lot of research on 12-volt refrigerators, I've found what I think is the best refrigerator on the market right now. This is the Setpower RV45D, a dual zone 12-volt refrigerator. And this fridge has a ton of great features, which makes it, I think, the most versatile fridge on the market right now. So just quickly, if you're not familiar with a 12-volt fridge, they really work exactly like a regular fridge that you've always been familiar with. They have a compressor and some electronics that allow you to set a set temperature, and the fridge will maintain that temperature. Same as any fridge that you've always used. The big difference is they run off of 12-volt power, and that is ideal for a number of reasons. One, you can power this fridge up no matter where you are. You can plug it into your car as you drive, or you can do like I'm doing and you can run it off a solar power system like I have here in my van. I don't need any kind of special electronics between that. I don't need an inverter or anything like that. Now, a big advantage with that is that these 12-volt fridges are extremely efficient. Because they're designed to run on battery power, they need to be very, very efficient, and that is a great plus with this type of fridge. Setpower does provide a power brick, so you can take this and use this to plug it into regular household power if you needed to. I haven't used this because I'm never around power. I've simply been powering this unit off of solar power and battery power. It's a great feature because you can power it up no matter where you are, no matter what kind of power you have. You can have cold food, cold drinks, cold beer if that's what you're after. So getting into some of the features of this fridge, this is a 45-quart dual zone refrigerator freezer. You can have two completely independently adjustable zones inside the fridge. And the really cool thing about what Setpower has done with the design of this fridge is from the factory they have it set so that the right side of the fridge here, the kind of larger side, is set as a refrigerator, and the smaller side they have set as a freezer. And that's just how they have it set when you first plug it in and turn it on. Or, and this is where it gets really cool, you can actually take out this center divider and turn this into just one enormous fridge or one enormous freezer. That's a really cool thing, especially if you maybe are just using this fridge as, say, your Costco run. Maybe you live out in the boonies and you make a Costco run once a month or something, and you need to keep something frozen or you need to keep something cold on your drive back from the store. You can set this fridge up as the way I have it, that it's a fridge on one side and a freezer on the other. But if you needed just one big freezer or one big fridge, you can pull out the center divider and do that and just reset the settings on the side to suit your needs at the time. Another great little design with this fridge is this lid. This lid has a really nice latch and that is easy to operate. You don't have to fuss around with opening the fridge and getting it closed. You can just drop it and it will close itself and latch itself shut. The last fridge I had did not have a locking latch on the top, and there were times where the top didn't get closed all the way. So this is a feature that I really like. I know that I can close this down and keep the cold inside the fridge without having to worry about it. It's not going to pop open. It's going to be closed and stay closed. That's a nice feature. Now, another feature, and it's a little one, but I really like, are these handles. These handles are spring-loaded, so they pull themselves back to the body of the fridge, which keeps them fairly compact when you're not using them. But when you are using them, they pull right out and are very, very stable. And I think that's a really important thing to have, because you do need to move the fridge around from time to time. I do like to be able to clean out my van and clean out from underneath the fridge, as well as being able to get the fridge out of the van to clean out the inside of the fridge. And talking about cleaning out the inside of the fridge, Setpower has thought about that as well, because they have added a drain plug down on the left side of the fridge. That's something I've never had and have always wanted. It's a nice thing to be able to just run some hot water or some warm water through the fridge and clean it out and just let it drain out the drain plug. That's a thoughtful design and a very useful design. So now's probably a good time to give you a little look at the capacity inside and just what 45 quarts kind of looks like. And I wish I could do this outside so I can give you a little better look, but it's a little windy, so we're just going to have to do the best we can in here. So you see I've got quite a bit of space. Now on the right side here, directly under the very right side, is the compressor and fan assembly. So this is just a little shelf, and then you can see it drops down, so I've got space for a half-gallon milk container, and then, like I was saying before, this is kind of split up so that the larger side is on the right from the factory, and then on the left side is a little bit smaller. Even though it is a little bit smaller, this is full depth because there isn't any electronics underneath the left side, so this goes right down through. So you see I've got some frozen peas and some frozen fruit for my cereal in the morning. So I've got quite a bit of space on this side, even though it is not quite as big and as wide as the fridge side is. Now there is a user's manual that comes with the fridge, and there are a couple of other features that we should probably just talk about real quick. One is there is a battery protection setting on the fridge, and that would be if you're gonna plug the fridge into your vehicle's battery and the starting battery on your vehicle. The idea with that protection setting is you can set it so that it will theoretically shut the fridge down before taking too much power out of your starting battery so that you won't be stranded somewhere. And I haven't used that because I have my fridge set up on the solar, so it's not something I can really test. But it is there. You get 3 levels of protection, so you can kind of set it to your preference. I have it set at the lowest setting because I don't want my fridge to shut off. I've always got plenty of power with my solar, and so I'm really more concerned about my food staying cold and less about what my battery voltage is. And the other thing that is kind of a little more interesting and a little bit misunderstood is the fridge has a max and eco mode. And now a lot of fridges these days have this kind of dual setting on the fridge, and I think a lot of companies try to tell you that if you set it on eco mode it'll save you power, and that's not what I've found. Now I could be wrong here, and I'm sure there's going to be people that tell me I'm wrong, but what I've noticed just from my personal use is when I'm running the fridge on eco mode instead of max mode or the regular mode, when I have the little button set to eco mode, the fridge seems to draw a little bit less power, and so it runs a little bit longer. When it's on its max mode, the compressor runs at full speed. It draws a little bit more power because it's running at full speed, but it works a little bit faster. Normally I do run it on eco mode. I don't find it makes much of a difference nowadays, because nowadays I'm really running it on a lithium battery, and so it doesn't seem to make a big difference which setting I have it set on. But when I first got the fridge, I had it running on an AGM battery, so an old sealed lead acid battery, and I did notice a difference with that. The older lead acid type batteries, they do seem to like to have a lower amperage draw for a longer period of time versus a higher amperage draw over a shorter period of time, if that makes sense. So since we were talking about compressors, that segues us nicely into talking about the type of compressor that is in the Setpower fridge. And usually people are asking for a certain type of compressor, and that is a Dan Foss compressor. Really what they're looking for is a SeCop compressor that's made by the Dan Foss Corporation. And no, this fridge from Setpower does not have that SeCop compressor or Dan Foss compressor. Now, from my point of view, this is not a big deal. I've actually owned several fridges over the last 6 years, and the first fridge that I owned it for many years, was a Dometic CF-24 fridge, and it was one of the last fridges that Dometic sold that used those SeCop or Dan Foss compressors. Right at the time that I was buying that fridge, Dometic was switching out from buying those expensive compressors and using their own compressors in their own fridges. I haven't noticed a big difference in performance. This fridge uses a little bit less power than that Dometic fridge, and to me that's fairly significant because this fridge is double the size of my old Dometic fridge, and this fridge uses less power. Also, this fridge is not just a fridge, but I'm using it as a freezer as well. So in my mind, this would use a lot more power, but it doesn't. It uses less power than that old Dometic with that old Dan Foss or SeCop compressor. Pretty impressive as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people say the Dan Foss compressors are much quieter than any other type of compressor, and that's just not what I have found. I found it to be pretty much the same as that SeCop compressor that I used to have. So just to give you an idea of the amount of noise that this fridge generates, it's not much. So I'm just speaking now to kind of give you a baseline, and then I will now be quiet and you can hear what the fridge is generating noise-wise. So that may not have been the best test to give you, but I mean, that's the best I can do to try to give you an idea of the kind of noise that this makes. Really, when I'm sitting upright here, you know, cooking or just sitting and reading or something, I really can't hear the fridge cycle on and off. Now, when I am laying down, because my head is usually right here and it's right next to the fridge, I can hear it a little bit, yeah, when I am laying down. It doesn't wake me up, it doesn't bother my sleep, but I do notice it a little bit more when my head is basically a foot away from the fridge itself. So let's talk about power consumption with this fridge. Setpower says this fridge uses about 60 watts of power, and I would say that that's fairly accurate. The one thing I would say is power consumption with any of these fridges is really more about what the outside air temperature is. So the hotter the air temperature is, the more power it's going to consume. It's kind of basic. I mean, it's the same with your fridge in your kitchen. If you set that outside or in your garage, it's going to consume a lot more power than if you had it in an air-conditioned environment. I'm running this fridge off of my rather small solar electric system here in my van. So I have one battery and one solar panel, and my solar panel is a 150 watt solar panel, and I have now a 100 amp hour lithium battery, and with this setup it just is running it absolutely fine. Now, I was also able to run the fridge off of this portable battery pack. This is a 500 watt portable battery supply, and this would probably be the smallest battery that you would want to run a fridge of this size on, but it handled the fridge just fine. I was actually able to run the fridge for about 24 hours before I had to recharge the battery. Now, one little piece of advice I'd like to give everybody, and it doesn't matter if you're using a 12-volt fridge like this or a more standard home fridge, the one thing you need is a refrigerator thermometer. Now, this is going to cost you about $5 or $6 at the grocery store, and this is the best thing you can do for yourself. Now, this is really important. The obvious thing is you don't want your food to get too warm, because if it's too warm, you could make yourself sick and your food can spoil much faster. But if your fridge is too cold, you are needlessly wasting power keeping it at that temperature. So get yourself a fridge thermometer and set your fridge according to what your thermometer is telling you is going on the inside of your fridge, not what the little gauge is telling you on the outside of the fridge. Now, as far as things that I don't like about this fridge, there is one, and that is that they do supply this little cage here that makes it easy to just pull all your food out and clean out the fridge. And I really wish they would have supplied two of them, because I would like one on both sides. It would just make cleaning out the fridge easier. Instead of having to pull everything out piece by piece, I just pull out the cage and get everything out at once, clean it out, put everything back in at once. That is really the only thing that I can nitpick about this fridge. As far as everything else goes, I am just really happy with how it operates, how quiet it is, how little power it uses. It's just really a fantastic fridge all the way around. So all the research I put into this fridge has really paid off. I am very, very happy with it. Now, I do need to say, for full disclosure, I did contact Setpower and ask them to send me this fridge for the purpose of this review. So they did that, but they did not ask me to say anything specific about the fridge. I'm not being paid for it. They just wanted an honest review. So I hope that that has kind of come across here. Now, this fridge is really just about perfect for me, but I think that with all the extra little design features that Setpower has put into this fridge, it really makes it a fridge that would be great for a wide number of people. And so I really think that it is the most versatile fridge on the market, and I really think with all the feature set that it has and just how well that it works, I really think it's the best deal of a fridge. So if you're interested in this fridge, Setpower is offering 12% off to anybody that's watching the video here. So the links for that will be down in the description of this video below. So if you're looking for a really high quality fridge that is very good on power, I don't think you can do much better than this Setpower fridge here. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it.